Okay, welcome everybody to lesson 3. As you can see, today we're going to discuss flats, sharps and scales. So to start, we're going to have a look at these two symbols here. That is the flat symbol and the sharp symbol. The names of these symbols are quite indicative as to what they direct in music. So the flat symbol, when this is placed in front of a note, it is asking that you play that note one semitone or half step flatter in pitch, so lower in pitch. And the sharp symbol, when this symbol is placed in front of a note, it is asking that you play that note one semitone or half step sharper in pitch, so higher in pitch. Now, what is a tone or semitone, step or half step? To be clear from the outset, a tone we're saying is the same as a full step, and a semitone, a half step. Just whichever language you prefer or find more accessible. It doesn't really matter. So from left to right here across the screen, I have written the notes in letter names ascending in half steps. So as you can see, as directed by this line here, A to A sharp is a semitone or half step, A sharp to B, semitone, B to C, and so on and so forth. Meaning every second note is a full step. So A to B, B to C sharp to D sharp to F, and so on and so forth. Regardless of whether or not you play the piano, I feel that the image of the keyboard can be quite helpful in showing you and helping you to understand where these letter names come from in reference to semitones or half steps. So I'm going to use my cursor here on the keypad to start this chromatic scale. A chromatic scale is a scale that rises in semitones on the keyboard here below. So at the moment, the cursor is on the note A. Up one semitone is A sharp, another semitone is B, another semitone is C, semitone C sharp, D, D sharp, E, E to F, another semitone, E, F to F sharp to G, and G to G sharp. As some of you may have noticed and be wondering about, there is no B sharp or E sharp. While this may be used in particular circumstances, essentially just know that a B sharp is essentially a C, and an E sharp is essentially an F. So although we are transferring to a new letter name, these remain a semitone in interval. So the space between the pitches of E to F is the exact same as the space between the pitches of F to F sharp, respectively. Now descending in pitch. In order to descend in pitch by semitones, we're going to need to use flats. This is laid out in the same way, and that every consecutive letter printed from left to right across the screen is descending in semitones or half steps, and every second one is a full step. Again, I'm going to just show you how these relate to the keyboard below. So this is an A, half step A flat, half step down G, half step down G flat, to F, E, E flat, D, D flat, C, B, and B flat. Something else that you may have noticed is that notes with different letter names can refer to the same pitch. By that, what I mean is, let's take G flat, for example. G down one semitone is G flat. This note in pitch is the same as F sharp. So G flat and F sharp are the same note in pitch, although their letter names differ. The reason why we would use either option in different circumstances to refer to this note is something we will discuss more in a later video. However, this does refer to every note. By that I mean G sharp is the same as A flat, A sharp is the same as B flat, and so on and so forth. Now we are going to move on to scales. I'm going to start with the major scale because I feel like this is one of the most fundamental scales in music, and even as a name, it's one that we are most familiar with hearing, so I feel like it's good to start with this one. In spite of every major scale having different and unique note names as they ascend, the pattern of the intervals between each note, from the starting note to the top note of the scale, is always the same. If they're a major scale, they will follow this pattern of intervals. By intervals, I mean the space and pitch between each consecutive note, whether it be a whole step or a half step. So as you can see, this is the interval pattern of a major scale in ascending order. Whole step followed by a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and half step. And we'll have a look now how we can apply that to a scale. So let's take the C major scale. Starting on C, again, I'm just using the keyboard just as a helpful visual, but it doesn't matter if you play the piano or not. So as you can see, the first interval is a whole step. So that would take us to D, because C to C sharp is a half step, and C sharp to D is another half step. Therefore, a whole step would be C to D. Another whole step brings us to E, D, D sharp, E. A half step is E to F, followed by a whole step, G, another whole step, A, another whole step, B, and a final half step brings us to C. And that is how you can construct a major scale using these intervals. Let's do it again, starting on a different note. So this time we're going to start on E, which is this note here. So a whole step, E to F is a half step, F to F sharp is another half step, therefore E to F sharp is a whole step. F sharp to G sharp is another whole step. As we can see, F sharp to G, followed by G to G sharp. Then another half step, G sharp to A, G sharp to A, followed by a whole step, A to B, A sharp to B, A to B is a whole step. Another whole step, B to C sharp, B, C, half step, C, C sharp, half step. Therefore, B to C sharp is another whole step. C sharp to D sharp, another whole step. And D sharp to E, the final half step. So again, using the exact same intervallic pattern, we can construct a major scale, this time starting on an E, and that is how we have now constructed this E major scale. So the next thing we're going to move on to are minor scales. In this lesson, we are just going to discuss the natural minor and the harmonic minor. There is another type of scale called the melodic minor, However, as this is the first lesson on this topic, I just thought it best to start with these two. Similarly to the major scale, there is an intervallic pattern you can use to construct the natural minor scale. Here it is written in ascending pitch, A natural minor, according to these intervals, as we did with the major scale. However, there is another way to figure out the notes of the natural minor scale. That is using the relative major. So each major scale has a relative minor and vice versa. So the relative minor can be found, as it says here, by moving 3 half steps or semitones down from the first note of the major scale. So C major, its relative minor is A minor. C to B, 1 half step. B to B flat, 2 half steps. B flat to A, 3 half steps. We'll start even using the C. We can see C to B, half step. B to B flat, half step. B flat to A, half step. Why is this helpful? Because the relative minor will have the same number of sharps and flats as its relative major. So if you remember, C major had no sharps or flats. From the very beginning, using the intervallic pattern of the major scale, when we started with C, we resulted in a scale with the note names that had no sharps or flats. And so, this natural A minor scale, as you can see, also has no sharps or flats. And this scale also results in this way by using the intervallic pattern. Now, how to make the harmonic minor scale. It is quite simple. After finding the natural minor, either by using the intervallic pattern in the previous slide or by using our knowledge of the key, the number of sharps and flats in its relative major, we can then make it into the harmonic scale by raising the 7th note of the natural minor by a semitone or half step. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In the natural minor, this would be G. To raise G higher by a semitone, we make it G sharp. And so this is a harmonic minor, bottom to top in ascending order. Now we're just going to go over this whole process again using a different major scale. So F major, remember, this is the intervallic pattern we use to construct the major scale. Starting on F, which is this note here, a whole step would be F, F sharp, G. F to G is a whole step. G to A, another whole step. A to B flat, a half step. B flat to C, a whole step, because B flat to B is 1 half step. B to C is another half step, therefore B flat to C is a whole step. C to D is another whole step. D to E, another whole step. And finally, a half step, E to F. By all means, pause the screen here and use your own computer cursor to play out the scale on the keyboard printed below using that intervallic pattern and counting out the half steps and whole steps, tones or semitones, whichever language you prefer. And now we are going to construct D natural minor. Why I have chosen D natural minor? Because it is the relative minor of F major. To find the relative minor of F, we simply go down 3 semitones. So that would be F to E, 1 semitone, E to E flat, another semitone, E flat to D, a third semitone. Therefore, D minor is the relative minor to F major. How does that help us? Because we now know that D natural minor has the same number of sharps and flats as F major. If we remember, F major had a B flat, resulting from this pattern. So we know that D natural minor also has a B flat. Alternatively, we could use the intervallic pattern on the previous slides of the natural minor, whichever you feel more comfortable with. And now, to make D natural minor into D harmonic minor, we raise the 7th note of the scale by a semitone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. C up 1 semitone or half step is C sharp. C, C sharp. Now that is all that we are going to go through for this video. There was quite a lot in this video, so by all means watch it a couple of times, and if there's any questions you have, please do let me know in the comments below and I will get back to you, or maybe do an additional video on this same topic. If you find this video helpful, do give it a little like, and to get a notification when the next video comes out, you can subscribe to this channel. See you guys next time.